Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So one thing I'm telling my audience to do three things today. We're going to dive into one of them, but we might as well keep repeating these things so people hear them. One, folks, if you're following one rental at a time, we do not pay list price. We also no longer look at first day listings. We wait for the days on market to age so we can seek motivation. Two, we are getting closing cost credits. And three, where you can, we are also getting rate buy downs. Folks, seller credits, 2, 3, 6%. They're all possible, but you have to understand what you are doing. You have to work with a professional to do the math. Sometimes it makes more sense to do A than B. You have to work with a professional, especially today. And also, I just learned, and you can educate the audience, that there are different limits. You could get 6% seller credits on this, but only 3% on that. And oh, by the way, 2% over here. So educate us as the expert what those answers are.
Right. Yeah. And it's great being in mortgage where one, guidelines and things change every day. Two, the things that you don't see every day, you might just forget. I always go back to videos I made 5 or 6 years ago and I relearn stuff from myself. And so with being in the market we've been in where seller credit hasn't been a thing, we haven't run into it. But now every other deal written with seller credit, we've got to re-educate ourselves. Recently got in contract where I had a buyer with 3% seller credit on an investment property. The thing gets submitted. Truth be told, me and my team missed it on the submission, and we get kicked back and go, hey, on an investment property, 2% seller credit is the max. Okay, everybody hear that, right? You go out there, you submit an offer, you want 2% in credit to buy down the rate. 2% is the max seller credit you can get on an investment property.
Okay.
If you're buying your primary residence, you can get up to 6%. But the caveat there is if you put less than 10% down, it's a 3% max seller credit.
Interesting. So if I put 11% down, I could get 6% seller credit. If I put 10% down or 9%, I can only get 3.
Exactly.
Own a rock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which, those are interesting caveats.
That's funny because if let's just pretend you're walking into your earlier example of a $500,000 home. If you put 50K down, you get 3%. If you put 11% down, you put 55K, but you get an extra 3% credit. I'd be doing 11% all day long.
Right. If you can negotiate that credit, and people have to remember that the seller credits can't go towards your down payment. They can only go towards the costs. And so we run into that a lot too, where I might have a 3% credit and, we cover all the closing costs and we're going to use a point buy down. There's extra credits. And I think this is where it's important. GreatMortgageBroker.com. If you connect with me and my team, we're going to help walk you through the rate sheets. Every rate jump isn't the same. If the first eighth is 50 basis points and the next eighth is 65 basis points and the next eighth after that is 80 basis points, and then it's like a full point, like it becomes a law of diminishing returns.
Correct.
And so I tell people, listen, looking at this rate sheet, for 2 points, we can get you this rate. We're not going to spend a whole nother point to get you an eighth lower. Let's use that 5,000 to offset closing costs.
Correct.
And you can offset prepaying your tax and insurance. So it's costs that, are benefiting you. So the 8, 9, 10,000 in closing costs plus whatever the rate buy down is, you find a sweet spot on the rate sheet, and that's the rate you buy down to. And then you use the rest to offset or totally pay for the closing costs.
Yeah, I just kind of want to reiterate what I said going into this. Buyers have all the power today, or at least most of it. Please find the motivated sellers. Again, days on market is the best indicator for that today. Like bigger days on market, potentially more motivation. Get the seller credits. Once you get the credit, the 2, the 3, the 6, you have to work with a professional like Matt, the mortgage guy, and his team, because he will help you use those monies, which in like 6% credit on $500,000, that's $30,000. That's like real money. So you got to work with a professional, make sure you're using it in the right place. And that may be multiple scenarios you have to run through. And, someone like you or someone on your team is really going to help them figure out the best use of that 30K in this example.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I've got lots and lots of clients out there submitting offers, trying to find, a way to make the numbers work. I'm looking at like a 25% down investment property right now. And, between the rate that costs nothing, which is got a 7 in front of it.
Oof.
2 points, you can get yourself all the way down to 6.125.
There you go.
So it's certainly worth it to, write that into the contract. Hey, seller, give us 8,000, 10,000 in seller credit, whatever 2% is, and use that to buy down your rate, which is interesting to think about, Mike, on our whole conversation of rates going up and where and how much it's going to impact buyers. Even when rates are 5.75, 6%, 6.25, they continue to go up. With the market the way it is, where you're able to negotiate, there's a lot of these concessions that are happening that are helping them buy them down. So the end rate consumers are locking into is generally lower than
Well, I certainly hope so. If you're following one rental at a time, you better get a lower rate. I mean, every day I'm reminding you, get these closing costs and rate buy downs. Something that we didn't prepare for, but I'm going to ask and hope you have it handy. What are the rates on ARMs? Because one of the things we saw in June is ARMs went from roughly 2% of production to 11. That was May and June.
Yeah, and
what are ARMs today?
I'm still seeing what I was seeing before. I don't have it in front of me, but I know offhand because I priced a ton of these conforming conventional ARMs. There's no benefit. If you're not doing a jumbo loan, I wouldn't look at an ARM unless you've got some local credit union that's advertising. They've got a special product that's a portfolio product, but the Fannie, Freddie, the widespread stuff that everybody's selling, I'm not selling conforming ARMs. They just they're literally the same price as 30-year money. Why would
go
you
get you 30-year money? But let's talk about jumbo since you brought it up. Jumbos, the delta is 0.5 point.
Probably a little bit more, probably closer to a full percent. And so those make sense to have a conversation around.
Now, any reason why? Is it just what the market bears or what's going on? Why would it be a point?
Well, I think that there's a wider spread there because the jumbo market is more, private money, portfolio money. And so
the jumbo market's also got to be much smaller transaction wise, right? I don't know.
Right.
20% of total production.
Number of transactions, but then the dollar amount,
bigger amount.
Is. And that's why it's like 11 or 12% of loans written,
but
are
40%
ARMs. But 20% of the volume written is ARMs because they're $1 million, $1.5 million loans.
I got you.
So a bunch of different things coming out mortgage wise. I see more down payment assistance programs coming.
Well, that's the key, right? Because again, when you understand business and the economy, what's coming is predictable. Rates are going up. Banks are going to originate less loans. Banks don't make money when they do that. So what do? They get creative. They try to find and create solutions for corner cases. And that's what's going to happen. Down payment assistance as an example.
Right. Yeah. I'm seeing that stuff coming. I'm going to do some quick research and I'll send you a message you can put maybe in the show notes.
Sure.
Because the thing I pulled up on the max seller concessions, 10 to 25% was that 6%, right? And then under 10% on a primary was only 3%. This source I'm looking at says that 25% more, you can get 9% in seller concessions. I don't know what you do with all that. I don't know if you could even spend that on closing costs and buy downs, but I'll confirm it and I'll send the information over so we can get it in the notes.
Put in the link, put in the comments. Very cool, man. But again, if you are doing what I ask you to do, doing the work, you have your buy box, you find something that makes sense, you don't pay list price, you get closing costs, you get rates buy down. If you want to use that money appropriately, you have to work with the professional. The one that I trust is Matt, the mortgage guy. How do you want them to find you and reach out?
GreatMortgageBroker.com.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.